everybody faces they get stuck in melee. I think everybody could relate to this. At some point, they got stuck, right?
Yeah.
But some get stuck more than others.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I saw this as an opportunity. Like you've expressed desire to be good at melee.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, like, why do you care about improving?
It's my favorite game.
It's your favorite game.
And okay, there's a few reasons, right? Number one, if I made a list of ways to grow the Smash community, somehow maybe the number one or it's like top 5 minimum is me personally becoming good. Because I'm of the opinion, if I became a top player, 300k views on that stream. Think about it. If I'm just out here winning Genesis, you don't think that's literally everyone's going ballistic? I think it'd be pretty hype. I think it would grow Melee. That's a fact. So
why don't we go to more of a selfish reason why?
So that's my selfless reason.
Yeah, that's just self. That's like
my selfish reason.
Yeah. Why would if you were just only for yourself? Why?
My selfish reason is that I know that this brain right. Okay, so there's a few reasons, right? So I have a good friend. His name is Adam. Goes by Armada. He speedruns Super Mario, right?
Yeah, I heard he's pretty good at that.
Yeah, so he speedruns Super Mario. And me and him are having a conversation. It shows, what maybe some people who aren't in the scene might think about my skill level. And he said to me, and this is a Mario speedrunner, right? So he really should have no pride about this sort of stuff. He said to me, Blur, you versus me, our brains, I will always win. He literally said that. He basically was like, it doesn't matter. You will never be better than me. It's basically what he said. And I took that personally. As someone who takes pride in my prime, which doesn't exist yet, but will, theoretically, I was like, you can't say that. What do you mean I'm incapable? That right there hit my pride. So it's a bit of a pride angle. The selfish one would be a pride angle, where it's like, I just want to prove people wrong, and I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be real funny. I'd make fun of them. I'd make fun of them mercilessly. Every time they lose to me, I would make fun of them horrifically. And I'd have a great time doing it. I'd have a really good time doing it.
I think some people in this chat could relate. And
in Adam's case, I would fly to Sweden, go to his house, and beat him in front of his brother and his entire family. And I'd be like, "What happened? What happened, dog?" And it'd be a good time.
Okay, that is certainly a selfish reason.
Yeah.
What about a selfish reason that's not necessarily outcome oriented? Because this is, if you notice, that's like saying
selfish reason that's not
outcome oriented.
What does that mean?
Because the motivation for you doing this is because you want to beat somebody, right? But like, what happens if that?
But honestly, the pride reason's second to the fact that I just really like Melee.
Yeah, that's
literally. Yeah, it's like this game's sick, and being good at it would. I would just actually feel good about it. There's not a lot of things where, there's quite a few things I'd say actually that if I was good at them, I'd have pride in it, right? Which is I'd have pride in being good at the violin or piano or whatever. But I don't love those things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I still have pride in those things maybe if I was good at it, but I don't love those things. And I do love Melee. So that'd be the reason.
Okay, yeah. So it seems like this is a very notice there's a difference here. Just
so here's the thing. Kandayo in chat says he's fishing for a self-improvement answer. That's one of the things that I actually don't really attribute to this, because I feel like whenever people say it's oh, you'll become a more whole human being or whatever through Smash. Now, there's a degree where you can learn life skills through Smash, but you can also learn life skills through almost anything, right? And I don't know, it seems a little cheesy because what that seems to imply to me is a recurring thread that I generally don't like in the community, which is to value people on a self-worth level based on how good they are in Smash.
Yeah,
and that's really stupid, right? and that's kind of what I think that's implying, right? Well, I agree. You can learn a lot of things about life through Smash, but that doesn't mean that people who are better know a lot about life. You know what I'm saying? Those two things are not equivalent statements. I think people get that confused.
So what's the point there again?
My point there is I'm not in it for really self-improvement. Like, that's not really why I care.
Yeah, that's fine.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Because I think, how can you improve?
There's people that go to the gym because they just like working out.
Yeah, exactly. So this
like,
is similar, right? Like, with the gym, because I'm trying to lose weight, been losing a little bit of weight, though I did just have some not so healthy food just a second ago.
That's an exception. Once in a while.
I don't go to the gym for like self-improvement.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I go to the gym because health reasons and because I'm currently single and I think it would improve my chances. You know what I mean? It would just make it just would help out a little bit, you know? A little bit, you know? And so, like, those are the reasons, right? It's not for, like, because I think it will make me, like, less depressed or find some great meaning in life. Like, I don't think that's what that would do for me. It's similar with Melee, right? That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to run almost... I'm trying to... recently I've been slacking, but, like, I'm trying to run every day just, like, for the challenge of it. Because, like, it always challenges me. Not because, like, it's good for me or whatever, or because I'm trying to lose weight. Because God forbid that, like, I need to lose more weight. That's not...
exactly.
That's, like, the last reason. But
if only I could have your problem, but yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think that's, like, a fine motivation to just, you know, being good is probably one of the best feelings in the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's also like it feels good to beat people at Melee. It's a fun game, and like, it feels good to like win in the game that you like. It feels a lot worse to lose in the game that you like. Mm-hmm. That's really it's that simple, actually.
Yeah, losing sucks.
Losing sucks.
Now, how much hours do you think you put into Melee?
In my life?
Yeah, in your life.
Oh, gotta be over 10K.
And I mean, in terms of gameplay hours.
Oh, see, okay. So there's a lot of things, right? There's watching hours, there's playing hours, and then there's general Melee community hours.
Okay, I'm gonna split this into gameplay and like focus analysis. I think that qualifies as like the amount of time that you put.
That actually matters, right?
Yeah,
those things.
The ones that actually matter. I'm not counting like degenerate friendlies.
Those things, gameplay / focus analysis. Wait, you don't count degenerate friendlies?
No. Why would they?
Okay, because the number is now insanely low.
Okay, then we kind of just found the. Okay, how much total did you put in, and then
okay.
How much total?
How much focus analysis did I put in? You know that one Discord call that we had?
Less than 2 hours.
Less than 1 hour. Right?
Less than 1 hour.
Less than 1 hour.
What about gameplay?
Like focus gameplay. That's at least 1,000.
Okay, so like 1,000.
Let's go with 1,000. Focus gameplay.
Okay, but like total, how much total do you?
No, man, it's probably more than 1,000. Honestly, it's probably like, because I've had a lot of try-hard games. Let's go with 2,500.
Sure, whatever, 2,500.
Yeah, let's go with 2,500.
But then like total, you say it's like 10K plus hours.
Well,
just like
not. I don't think that's playing the game. 10K plus. Maybe it's 10K plus playing the game. Actually, yeah. But it's not like always focused. You know, and a lot of those hours I think are irrelevant in 2021 because I did it in 2006, and that's none of those matches matter, and none of those matches like have any bearing on how good I am now. Like literally even a little bit. Other than I guess, like maybe my muscle memory for wave dashing or something from back then still is carries with me, but it's very minor, right? Like, I don't think they're very relevant to how I play now.
But nonetheless, like, you've put in a lot of time, you know, not just from 2006, but also like, you know, since Unranked came out, right?
Yeah.
You've put in a lot of time.
I've played a good amount.
So,
I mean, I don't know though, because like I see some people's amount of Slippy matches, like their folder, and it's multiples of mine.
Well, it's
multiples, like
sure,
a lot more.
Sure, but like those are.
I'm sure yours are too.
Maybe
I'm sure you have multiple. Like you're multiplying.
But those are people that are aspiring to be like the best in the world, whereas like you're fine with being top 100.
Who said that?
Okay, but
I would like to be best in the world, but I would first want to not, be a little bit better. The thing is like I don't know how good I am. There's no way for me to know, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves with Melee is I have no idea where I am on the actual scale. Like, okay, I'm not top 100. I know that, right? But I don't know if am I top 200, 300, 400? You know what I mean? Like, where am I on the range? Because like all I know at the moment is I win every game on Unranked pretty much, or close to that, and that's all I know. Like, well, how am I supposed to know anything else? When I go to locals, like there was a NorCal local I went to that I got second at, right? Like I get like there's locals I'll go to that are smaller locals I'll get top 3 at pretty comfortably. You know, not even like only PR players in that will touch me. So I'm like I don't know where I'm actually at. You know, like I have no idea.
If you,
and I hate that about Melee. It's the worst. It's one of the worst things about Melee. Is that I literally have no idea.
I agree. Although I will say that if you're like not NorCal PR level, you're probably like outside of like the top 200, 300 level.
Probably, yeah. I think my guess is I'm like around 200 or 300 if we made a list. Like my guess.
Maybe. But then
I'm
like,
not sure. I'm not sure.
There's a lot of variables.
Yeah. And honestly, like at those skill levels, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like it matters very much. But what I mean to say is, it's very hard for me to track, like, progress because of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because there's no tangible way. Like, the people that can track progress the best are actually the people who are the best, which is really stupid with the way our community works, right? The worst people have the hardest ways of tracking progress, and they're the people who we want to hook into the game the most, right?
Right.
But they have the hardest time, and mid-level people have a really, really hard time.
Yeah.
Tracking progress.
Right.
Because there's literally nothing for them.
Yeah, I would say that like it's a very common problem that it's hard to track progress.
Yes.
However,
I have no idea if I'm actually better now than I was like a year ago, 2 years ago. I have no idea. I could be the exact same, and I have no idea.
Sure.
Or I could be a lot better. I could be a lot better, and I don't know.
Yeah, sure, for sure. But you have goals that like let's set the goal to be like you just at least want to be like top 100 level, right? It becomes very obvious like when you're top 100 level or not, regardless of how hard it is to track.
It'd be dope if I was on top 100 level for sure.
Yeah, and like the honest answer is like you're probably not top 100.
Oh, I'm definitely not.
Yeah,
like
definitely
if we're being honest, you're definitely not.
Yeah, so like while it is hard to concretely check,
who is okay? To gatekeep that for a second, who is the 100th person now? We haven't had a friggin' ranking in like nearly 2 years.
Whatever.
No, but like I don't know, right? Like so, it's like.
Well, that's the thing. Like the funny thing is that once you like slowly get better at Melee, like you kind of just know.
You kind of just know, right?
Yeah, like to the point where like you shouldn't be fighting for like that vague 94th spot. You should just be fighting to just be
good.
Good, you know.
Yeah.
So like that is definitely like a complaint and definitely something like
I'm not trying to complain right now, but mostly that like, I think like if one of the things to ask is like, okay, focus analysis, gameplay, whatever, like what do I usually get out of it? And the answer is I don't know, because I don't know if that stuff makes me better.
Yeah,
like legitimately, like I don't know. It's much easier for me to diagnose how to get better if I know. If I can do a quick A/B test, like I did this thing and I got better, but I can't do that in Melee because I can't do this thing and know if I got better. The actual results are completely a black box for me. Like I do not know how to measure my goals, like at all.
So I think this is actually a good segue point. Actually, like how do I know? And you happen to be one of the best in the world in another game, right?
Yeah.
Slay Aspire.
Yeah, it's not the only game I've been one of the best in the world, actually.
Yeah, well, what other games?
I was one of the best in the world in Guild Wars. I was like in a top 3 guild. I'd say those 2 games where I've gotten really, really good.
How did you know that you were improving, aside from the numbers telling you so?
How did I know I was... The numbers told me so. Those
awesome.
Games had ways I could... So in Slay Aspire, you can just look at your win rate, your win streaks, and it was like, I'm winning more now. And, you know, like, and it was simple. Guild Wars, it's like... It's the rank of your guild, and like there was legitimately, like there was effectively, not really an MMR system in a traditional way, but there's a ladder, you know, like straight up. I knew how good I was, right, at all times. And so it wasn't, whereas in Melee I don't have that at all. Like I do not have a way at all of knowing I got better. And I'm a pretty analytical person, I like to think. And so I can't use that power at all in Melee, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it for video analysis, but I can't do it for, like, measuring my own progress. The only exception is that there's, first of all, Ranked's coming out soon, so it's gonna get better. So if we're talking about the janky ways that there are to measure this, there's 2 ways in my opinion, which is Ranked and Training Mode Tuesdays. Those are the only 2 ways that I know of.
Or just tournaments in general.
Not tournaments in general.
Like the highly ranked ones. The highly stacked ones.
Those aren't even good. Because it's double elimination.
There's
double elimination is garbage.
Yeah.
It literally does not tell you anything. Because someone of my skill level, right, what happens is the same thing every time. I get seeded at a certain point. I beat the people that, like, they're just not, they're new to the game, pretty much. And then I run into someone like you, John, honestly, you know, and who's like a top 100 player, because that's how seeding works, right? I lose to them. I go into losers. I beat maybe 1 round, and then that's my tournament.
Right.
You know, but like, all I learned there is that I'm not top 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that doesn't mean I'm not better or worse than I was before. It's just I'm not top 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, congrats. Like, that doesn't teach me anything. You know what I mean? Like, I learned I'm not top 100, but there's a lot of variance in how good you are outside of top 100. There's like extraordinary amount of variance, right?
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to measure. If being top 100 is going to take me a long time, then repeatedly entering and learning I'm not top 100 doesn't teach me anything. Mm-hmm. On a, like, how good I am scale, right? Yeah. Maybe I'll learn something from the games, whatever, in a video analysis thing. That's different. That's not what we're talking about here. You know what I mean?
That's what we could talk about.
Training More Tuesdays, I think, is a little more granular because it has the pro and, you know,
the ranks.
The ranks. And maybe you can be like, hey, I did better in terms of stars this week than last week. Mm-hmm. And that is the best thing I've seen in the community for that. It's sort of jank. I don't know if it's like a good thing to ever use, really. It's not like a real ranked mode, but it's probably the best thing that currently exists. Is the best way that we have. Mm-hmm. I'm not just saying that because we freaking made that thing, but I'm saying that because I actually think it's the only one in the scene right now.
Right. Yeah. You are right that Melee has basically a non-existent way of tracking your progress.
Yeah.
That does hold back people.
Yeah.
And it especially holds back people that want to be reminded of, like, where they are, like, what. It's also like a nice sorts of, like, short-term motivation as well. It's like, oh wow, like, yeah, I'm going up. Mm-hmm. And
it's not even
about to know where I am.
Motivation is the wrong word, because here's the thing. I'm motivated to get better at Melee.
Yeah.
But I'm also I'm motivated to get better at other things in life. That's the thing, right? As in, I want to improve my social life, my love life, my health, my education. I'm trying to learn a little bit about game dev, maybe my career, or whatever. I have other things I'm motivated and care about in life.
Right.
We're skipping a little bit ahead here with some stuff we talked about earlier. I care about those other things as well, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a choice of how to allocate my time. Mm-hmm. I either dump more hours into this thing, this black box that I have no idea I'm actually improving in, or I dump it into career, which gets me money, which is important in capitalism.
And you chose to spend a lot of it in Melee TOing.
All right, okay, maybe not the best choices here. All right, okay. But regardless, like career, you know, like all these things make me a happier and more whole person, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so many of them have tangible rewards and progress and things that matter. With health, my weight went lower, and it's like, okay, sweet, I got something out of the time I put in.
It just overall feels like the progression is so vague to you.
It's so vague. It's plateaued, right? Like, where it's like, when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I have all these things I want to do with my day, right? And I split up the hours. If I spend some of that time coding or doing game dev stuff, and I spend some of the other time doing like going to the gym, and I spend some of the other time like swiping on Tinder, like whatever the fuck, as sad as that one sounds, right? Going to different categories, spending time with my family because that's important to me, etc. Hanging out with a friend. All those other ones, I'm getting like either immediate or long-term feedback where I know what's going on, right? And what I'm getting out of it. With Melee, I'm never getting that. I'm almost playing Melee like I'm playing any other video game. Like, as in, I'm playing like it's like a single. The thing is, I almost get more out of playing a single-player video game. When I've played a few single-player video games recently, and at least at the end, I can add it to a list of games I've beaten, and I've beat the game. You know what I mean? I get like that satisfaction. With Melee, it's just like I'm playing it again.
Yeah, and you don't know.
And I don't know why I'm doing it, and I could be doing all these other things, and there's maybe even a little bit of guilt around it where it's like, this is my 10,000th hour of playing this video game, where, I don't know if I'm ever going to get good, right? And if I imagine a world where I don't get good, then will I be as satisfied with having spent my time on this than the other stuff? Maybe not. As much as I love Melee. And so, like, a lot of it comes down to time. I think a lot of people actually deal with this,
Yeah. You're definitely not alone in this.
Because I love the game, but like, if I don't get good, then the time might not feel as good. And second of all, like, even if I do get better with the time I put in, what if, like, I don't know if I did?
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that stops me from going from just having motivation to having a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having a habit, in my experience, is a thing that you actually need to get better at something.
Yeah.
I got better at those other stuff, and many of the other things I've gotten good at in my life, because I built a habit to get good at it. Because I got a good feedback loop, and I just kept doing it. And with Melee, I've never really been able to build a feedback loop. The best feedback loop I've gotten from Melee hasn't been from playing Melee. It's been from the social experiences I've gotten in Melee. I run a tournament. Everyone's happy. Everyone gives me a pat on the back.
You see the numbers go up in your attendees.
I see the numbers, and guess what? Now I'm doing it. And I do that over and over again. I commentate, and I degenerately go on Reddit and Twitch chat and see that people hate or love my commentary, and I either stroke my ego or I go, fuck you guys. But at least it gets me something, right?
Yeah.
And so it becomes easier for me to get good at it in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, also to me, it just sounds like you're really good at self-teaching yourself, and just as long as that, like, there's, numbers that tell you if you're doing the right thing or not. Like, there's grades in school, like, that's
yeah.
And there's video games that tells you, like, how do you get good? Like, am I overcoming this point? And then, like, the other games that you're good at, Slay the Spire, Guild Wars.
Yeah, and those are video games, but I also did other stuff.
On real life.
So, like, I did Taekwondo.
Like,
I went to Taekwondo tournaments,
yeah.
And that was when I was younger. Like, don't look at me right now, but you look at some old Blur pictures. Not I could fight, and those tournaments I did really well, and it's academic. I Quiz Bowl. I was one of the better players in the country for that, like, trivia knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I did in high school. I did like MUN. I got gals for, like, basically, like, the amount of competitive things I've tried is actually really large, both between video games and otherwise. So I think I have a decent idea of, like, how to get better when I can measure it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Melee's the only one in the world where I can't measure it at all.
It's the hardest game in the world to self-teach.
And I can't, especially now, because with Unranked, I beat everyone.
Yeah, sure.
Let's
go with that.
Okay, well, pretty much everyone, right? Like, pretty much everyone I queue in with, usually. And so I don't know. And, like, okay, maybe when I do lose to someone, it's like, this is probably a top 100 player. What do I know,
You ran to Red Pennant Master.
Oh, yeah, don't beat that guy. That guy's insane.
What if I told you that, like, he's only, like, a top 200 player?
Well, there you go. Then I'm not top 200.
Yeah.
What do I know,
I don't even know.
I feel like, though, he's disgusting.
anyways, let's get back to this. Get back to the topic here. It's the hardest game in the world to self-teach.
Mm-hmm.
What differentiated? Do you know how I got better? What was, like, the first thing that comes to mind. If you
played a ton of locals, that's what it feels. That's what it feels like. No,
that's like, in fact,
that's what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah, in fact, I get outshined by so many other people that grinded locals. Like I get outshined by face roll.
Slime, right?
Maybe Slime
have the number
maybe
one.
Slime.
Didn't Slime go the most?
Cakes.
Huh?
I think
Cakes went to the most.
Yeah,
she did get better though. All those people did actually get better.
I went to less locals than him.
Than those people?
Yeah.
Okay, but they did get better. Going to locals did get them better.
A little bit better.
Yeah, they got a little. That's more than a little bit because I played.
Okay.
I played Slime like before his extreme local period, and you don't understand how bad that guy was.
Sure.
And now he's pretty good.
Yeah,
decent.
Besides that point, it's not local. It's not grind. It was a variable. Yes, I did attend plenty of locals, but I was not one of the top grinders. I typically on average went to like 1 or 2 locals a week. Even right now in the online area, I still only go to 1 to 2 locals a week. Whereas people that go to like 3 locals a day.
Yeah, and this online local, so I don't know what the value compared to LAN is.
I think it's about similar.
It might be similar. Yeah, so maybe it's not local. So what is your superpower?
Yeah, my superpower. You said it yourself that it's hard to self-teach. It's hard to track progression.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I track progression some other way?
What?
I asked.
You asked?
Mm-hmm.
What is that supposed to mean?
I asked PP.
This guy. The biggest PP fan of all time.
But do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't. Tell me.
I asked them tons of questions. Like, okay, I don't get why I'm losing this. Why am I losing this? Or what should I be working on? Or why is my mental game so bad? Well, what do I do this? What do I do that?
He answers you every time?
Every single time.
Kevin Manny has the heart of an angel, dude. He has this guy. It makes no sense.
I'm the only person throughout those years of asking
that did that.
I'm the only one that still asks to this day.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Most people would not assume that he would do that for them.
That's actually, I don't know why they reached that conclusion when they could read all of his old posts that he's always
been open about. Yeah, I don't know.
And people was like, oh, does he still answer his stuff? Yes, the answer is always yes.
And it's a pretty good resource, yes.
Yeah, and then so I asked PP, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? And then he gave me sort of a progression system, like, okay, this is the answer. Try doing this answer. And then I would do those answers, and I'll get better. Oh my god. There's a progression system.
Am I crazy in saying that it felt like when I read that thread, it's a lot of generic answers that are they really that useful?
Well, that's their problem, asking for their advice.
I mean, you're right in the sense that a lot of people would ask him elementary questions, and he would answer in elementary ways because that's right. That's when I read through that thread, that's 90% of it, right?
Well, yeah, that you don't.
But then there's this KoDoRiN going around probably asking about harder stuff.
No, I asked pretty elementary questions my first 2 years in that thread.
Really? Okay.
I only asked pretty scrubby questions. You wanna go back to my first question? You wanna look what I asked?
No, go ahead.
Exactly.
It's probably terrible.
Yeah, I think I asked him I remember PP tweeted about why somebody asked him why is the moon losing to Axe at EVO or something? EVO 2015.
Teacher's broken.
And he was like, oh yeah, the art of zoning is lost. And then I asked him that question, what does zoning mean? That was my question.
It's actually a good question.
Sure, yeah. But and other people would think that's elementary.
It is elementary.
You don't know what zoning means, and I legitimately didn't know. I didn't know what zoning meant back then. And then
forwarders.
Yeah. And then I asked him that, and then once he explained it, I was like, oh, well, that's what it is, and that's how I could apply it. I'm going to try applying this. And then I ran into new problems. This doesn't work. Why? So
you think the reason you got good is because PPMD answered your questions?
Well, PP is one of the top players, one of the best to ever play this game.
That's a
Regardless,
fact.
maybe he's not the best in the world. Whatever. That's not.
No,
really
he's one of the best to ever played. That's up.
Yeah, he's definitely one.
If you made a list of greatest players of all time, he's in the top 6 or 7.
Yeah, and you could trust that what he's saying is probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying his advice would be bad. Obviously, it's PP. I'm saying more that actually worked for you.
Yeah, progression. My progression was tracked through him. Do you know why I started beating face roll? My first couple times.
Why?
Because I asked him questions, and more specifically, I started to DM him I'm really stuck on what to do against face roll. Can I get a lesson from you? Just straight up getting coached, and I'll pay you rate.
So coaching helped you a lot.
He gave me a coaching session, and then after the first time, that was my first time beating him.
Literally, it was that simple.
Yeah, because he pointed out all the flaws I was doing, and I implemented
But
my
how
flaws.
does that... You're telling me you just talked to a guy.
I didn't just talk to him. I had a conversation with him.
He had a conversation with the guy. And then you just win. That's how this game works.
I don't want to cut it like it's just that simple per se, but it was through years of asking, and then it culminated to, you know, that coaching session, and then finally like implementing like everything that was like a little vague here and there, and then finally meshing it all together, and then it paid off. It was like a culmination of many things. Okay. It wasn't just simple. Like I didn't literally just ask him one.
So you're
day.
saying coaching is broken. That's your first one.
Well, I think coaching could alleviate the vague progression issue.
They can alleviate. Nothing's gonna solve it, but alleviate for sure.
Greatly alleviate it because they know what they're saying, and
they probably know better than you how good you are.
Yes.
Okay.
And they could like give you like pointers, and not only are they good at like, you know, pointing out how to get better at this and that, they probably also know what would get you the most bang out of your buck for your time. If you notice what a lot of like pros say, they say get good at punish game because that's gonna get you good the fastest.
Yeah, but then what they don't tell you is how.
Yeah, and then that's how you get to the value of coaching, is that they tell you exactly how. Like, you know, it's like the level 1 answer is like, how do I get good fast? It's like punish game. It's like, okay, how do you actually do a punish game? And then, okay, we could have a conversation about that.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, okay, so coaching is broken. You're right about that. That makes sense. I know coaching and analysis are the two things I haven't done enough of. As in, I haven't gone to coach enough.
I think coaching would help you, of all people.
Of all people.
Like, I think you would benefit.
Okay, so this is something we said earlier. I'm a very special case, right? Because I have a lot of things going on here. Number one, not a lot of, like, people that ask for help. Often they're, like, new players who, like, haven't been in the scene a lot. I'm in a unique position in the sense that I've talked Melee. See, the thing is, I wonder if what you're saying is true for me. Maybe I'm still hopeless. Because I've literally talked Melee with the best minds of the game for decades. You think I haven't had, like, deep Melee conversations with the Armadas, Mangos, the Mewtwo Kings of the world?
Yeah.
But I have.
Yeah, okay, but they're not...
They're not trying to get me better.
Yeah.
It's that we're just talking random crap. Yeah. Maybe we're doing like...
And also, like...
Maybe I'm arguing tier lists with stupid Mewtwo King. And we're just like drunk talking nonsense.
Also, like, the one time that, like, apparently of all the greatest minds that you talk to, only less than 1 hour of the VOD analysis was just me.
Yeah, I've never done a VOD analysis except for that one time where we kind of half-assed it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you didn't get better.
Oh, okay, well that makes sense, yes. Okay. I can't talk crap until I actually do. Those things would help. It's impossible to... I agree that it sounds like they would help. Because they've helped everybody. Coaching is broken, and analysis is broken.
Of all the people, I think it would benefit you the most. Because
why do you mean? Why?
Because it sounds like you were one of the best in the world at Slate Aspire Guild Wars because you had like a progression system. You were really good at self-teaching. You're really good at like... I know you're like a very analytical guy, and I think if you just had like a guidance in the right direction, I don't think you're the type of guy that would be like, you know, coaching for like a year. I think if you get like at least coaching like once a month or once in a while of like the right direction where to go, I think that would do you far better right now than it has like all of your other Melee years.
So one question I have is, how often do you watch your VODs?
If I don't... Okay, that depends. There's not a strict rule of this, and again, there's like that problem of Melee being abstract. It needs to be tailored to you. And with you definitely need to watch VODs like urgently, because you've only, of all like the thousands of hours you put into Melee, you put like less than 1 hour into VOD analysis. Yes.
It sounds like it's like almost a 50-50 split is the way you're almost talking.
No, it doesn't have to be a 50-50 split. It's dependent on what you're deficient on. Because analysis has value for this reason. And it's not going to... Because there's people that only analyze it. And I would advocate to those people, stop analyzing. You don't need any more analysis. You need to fucking play the game.
You need to implement the analysis, right?
Yeah, and like, you complimented my tier list video, right? Like how I talk about the trifecta.
Your tier list video is pretty dope.
Yeah.
I think I agreed with all of it.
Yeah, and the trifecta advocates that you need solo practice, you need friendlies, you need analysis.
And that's like basically 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 is the way you're making it sound. But it's trifecta.
Yeah, it needs to be a balance to what would give you like I don't want to say optimal result, but like what is like tailored to your needs. And
Right.
your need right now is that you need a lot of analysis.
Yeah. Okay. So analyze a little bit. A lot of it.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of it.
Basically, let's say I play 20 unranked games. It's not a bad idea to look at all the losses. If I lose, like,
absolutely. Especially if you lose. That's like arguably when you need...
so let's say I play 20 unranked games. I lose 3 of them.
Yeah.
Watch all 3.
Yes.
And then figure what happened. Figure out what happened. Okay.
And do you know maybe a starting point on where to go for analysis?
I mean, don't you just watch your Slippy replay? What do you mean?
So I was going to make a video about this on how to go about analyzing. I got a little stuck with that. I'm going to get to that as soon as I can. But a lot of people go through analysis without a theme to help simplify things, to help what would go in. A lot of people just go in there and like they get overwhelmed. They don't know what to analyze.
So one thing I've in the one thing that I've noticed about my play that may or may not be something I notice more if I analyze, but this is just from when I'm playing and watching myself, right? Is I don't care enough about stage control. I know with Marth, it's literally the most important thing in the world, but there's sometimes my scared little brain runs to the other side of the stage. And I remember sometimes, every time I do that, I'm like, what are you doing? You know? And I know I do that too much. A lot too much. And I don't know why.
Okay, so that's a starting point. You are getting hit because I wrote that so
I'm a scared little boy.
You have scared feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you would get this 2 mentality. Oh my god, I hate this. So you have a scared feeling and you're not controlling stage.
Yeah. Like, not even trying.
Yeah, and have you ever actually identified that mentality is a problem here? Because, like, you know logically speak, you know the logical answer.
It might be that. I think it might be that I think it's actually not mentality. I think what it is I'm not comfortable in center stage in certain matchups.
That still sounds like mentality to me.
No, okay, maybe. But what I mean is, like, on a tactical level. Like, I have a firmer grasp because I've spent more hours, like, in disadvantage. Because I've gotten my ass beat many times, KoDoRiN. That I almost feel more comfortable in disadvantage than I do with center stage in advantage. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like the Mewtwo King, you know?
Yeah.
On the ledge.
Yeah.
It's because he's the most experienced there in the world despite it being a disadvantage.
Sure, exactly. And so it's like, when I have center stage and the world's in the palm of my hands, I'm like, well, okay, what do I do? You know, like, I almost want to approach, which I know that's not necessarily what you're supposed to do, but I'm just like, I don't know, hit him.
Okay, so it sounds less about mentality and more about just being unfamiliar.
Yeah, like, it's like, okay.
And have you ever figured out how
Some
to
matchups
that?
it's less about that. So, like, against Sheik, I know I'm just supposed to, like, bait out dash attack. And it's pretty simple.
So I'm gonna cut you off here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut you off here because it's good to think a lot. However, you know, you say you're a busy man. You have a lot of things to you want to do multiple things, and now is a question of what would give you the best returns, right?
Right.
Is that well, we could go over like the advantage stuff, or we could talk about something else.
No, yeah, let's not talk about the advantage stuff. Let's keep talking about the general game plan of how to get better. Because that to me so far has been better than talking about specific game situations.
Yeah. Because like it started to be really scattered, and I think that's maybe what I'm gonna take a guess that maybe that's your problem analysis is that you see 20 other things and then it gets distracting and then it becomes unproductive.
Sure, I haven't done it enough
because you haven't done analysis
to tell you if that would be true, but that might be true.
Yeah.
I'd say more so it's what I said before, which is like, I haven't figured out, at least with Melee, how to get better, and with other things in my life, I know how to get better. So with Melee, me getting better is basically an accident. It's literally I just happen to have played that much been around the scene, gone through osmosis, and it just happens. Mm-hmm. And I think that happens with a lot of people. Like, you're just around, and then you're gonna get better. Like, you're not gonna stay. But you know, it's not purposeful, like maybe it would be with other things. You know.
Yeah. So, do you know what an 80-20 rule is?
No.
So let me give you an example of what the 80-20 rule would be. You learn 100 words of a foreign language. What do you think is more productive? Learning 100 of the most common words or 100 of the least common words of a language?
100 of the most common words.
Yeah, because despite both of them, you're putting the same effort of learning 100 words. One of them is way more useful because you're learning their phrases, you're learning their common things, whereas the other one is like, what, are you trying to impress a professor or something?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like such a niche use.
Right.
And you could, the 80-20 rule is basically you put in 20% of the work for 80% of the returns. And that's like basically the rule of how to get like the most out of your time for literally anything. And pros, the reason why they're pros is generally because they found out the 80-20 rule. They found out what actually gets them the returns.
Basically, they figured out the things to analyze and look at to improve that actually lead to wins.
Yes.
Right.
And you might have noticed in commentaries, especially once Slippy is becoming more and more common, what is the first thing that most people commentate, like commentators, what do they point out? It's like, oh, this is the reason why they win. They win when they look at the Slippy stats.
Openings per kill.
Openings per kill.
Right.
That's the number.
They punish game, basically.
That's the number. And funny enough, now Slippy has the tools to tell you the numbers.
Yeah, it's true.
It's part of your complaints.
But I think openings per kills is almost always, or almost as much about you as it is how good your opponent's DI is in melee.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right? Like, in the same matchup, my opening per kill go from 3.0 to like 12. You know? Because this guy's just really good at Smash DI or something, or, you know, whatever, and now I can't even convert, you know?
And yeah, and those are questions. It's not necessarily like a progression tracker per se, but like an indicator. And then like when you find that your openings per kill is 12.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's the time to ask a question, maybe.
Yeah.
Ask a pro. Like, why did this... You find out like what exactly is causing those high openings per kill. You ask them, it's like, okay, they're doing this that's preventing me from killing them, or I choked this, I choked that, whatever. They're doing this DI, what do I do? And then as you try to implement, and it, you know, hopefully it actually works out, then you see that openings per kill go back down. It's amazing, right?
Sort of. Because I feel like you can't use the openings per kill thing almost at all.
It's an indicator.
Barely though. Like I feel like what you said earlier of like you look at where you didn't convert and ask what you could have done. That seems doable, but what am I going to look at a match and be like, oh, I had 5.5, that's too high, let me...
Well, like, the ones that definitely is going to be a sticking point is the matches that you lost.
The ones that you lost. And you can look at it and be like, I was at 12, and then it almost assuredly is. And then you have to maybe look at situations and see why that is.
Right, and imagine, like, asking questions like, how do I reduce this openings per kill?
Yeah.
And, like, what are they doing? How can I practice this? How can I do all of that? And that's how... This is an example of why coaching would help, because I would know the answers. People would know the answers. Drug Fox would know the answers.
Yeah.
Any high-level melee coach can tell you the answer.
Yeah.
They can tell you what to work on and what you should be doing and how to get better. And then when you get stuck, you can ask them again.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems to me like your first two things are watch your VODs and get coached.
And hopefully it gives you the maximum returns of your time.
Sure. And do that well through a conversation.
And because they all would help you specifically because it would give you a progression tracker.
Would it though?
Yes. I would tell you what to work on. And it's up to you to implement.
Okay, so you're saying that's... So I get better by not measuring wins and losses, but by measuring if I actually implemented the coaching.
Yes.
Interesting. So even if I'm still losing, I'm supposed to be satisfied that I'm now doing this one thing?
You are at least one step closer if you're following what a top level coach is trying to tell you, and then you would come up you would try asking okay, I tried implementing what you said. Why is this not working? Then I tell you the next step, because part of coaching is I'm not going to tell you everything at once. I don't want to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you the first steps, and then even though you might still fail off of it, at least you're trying. And then after that, then I could tell you the more advanced steps.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna tell a beginner to oh, you need to start pivot regrabbing at spacey, because that's too advanced. I'm just gonna tell them to just get used to chain grabbing, and then
for sure.
And then when they get slightly then I tell them the concept of pivot regrabs.
Sure.
So yes, basically, in essence, I'm telling you to follow what the coach is telling you. And, I'm always open. You've helped me a lot of TOing. I can help you back with Melee if you so please.
Okay. All right, so coaching, analyze, got it. Anything else?
There is something... I remember you telling me that analyzing what also holds you back is because you get embarrassed.
I hate watching my own matches.
Yeah.
Because I look at it and I'm like, this guy sucks. I don't like watching him play. It's burning my eyes. My delicate Melee eyes are used to watching a little bit better than this. And I don't like watching it.
And do you think you would still face this issue?
Right now?
Yes.
I'm humble. I mean, I feel like I know I should do it, so maybe it would still hurt, but I think basically once I start doing it, it would start hurting less.
Okay.
Basically because it builds a habit. But at the thing that's held me back the entire time was, number one, for the majority of the years, it was very hard to even see your own matches.
Oh yeah, dude, it's such a pain in the ass.
Number two, now that that's gotten fixed over the last couple of years, number two, it was just every time I watched, I felt like this is unwatchable. So I stopped watching, And usually far less impressive than I thought it was in my head, because I played that match and I was like, damn, I played sick that match. And I watched it, I'm like, okay, I got a 3-stock, but you actually SD'd twice. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, and even if you were playing well, it's oh, I was playing sick for 2 seconds.
2 seconds. That's what it is. It's 2 seconds. It's oh no, I actually could have gotten hit there. I could have gotten hit there. I could have gotten hit there. But I did this one sick combo. And that made me think I was playing well. And it's just oh no, you just got a reverse fair dare. Congratulations, bro.
Yeah. And so, do you think this would still be a roadblock? That you would still be held back?
I think I can get over this.
You can get over it?
I think I can get over it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised because, you must have done some analysis for, Slay Aspire and Guild Wars.
Yeah.
So, I think you can probably do the same for me.
But what's funny is that in those games, so in Guild Wars, I actually watched myself a lot, actually. Slay Aspire, what I ended up doing is I watch other people more than I watch myself, because it's a very slow-paced game.
Yeah, it could be different.
But Guild Wars, I watched myself a ton, and helped.
Yeah.
And yet I never did that with Melee. Weird.
Yeah, a little weird.
little weird.
But, so, overall, I do want you to analyze. Keep in mind, I want you to keep a simple theme. Mm-hmm. It's better to start off, make the load a little lighter, and if you feel like you could take on more, then go on ahead. But just start simple. Maybe, if you're doing an analysis of Mart versus Spaceys, start with edge guard. Mm-hmm. How could I push this edge guard further?
Yeah.
That's it. You're not analyzing anything else. You're just going to look at, did I mess up this edge guard? How could I push this further? What's the proper flowchart? I don't know this answer. I'm going to ask KoDoRiN. Mm-hmm. You can ask people. You can ask anyone.
Yeah.
That's willing to answer.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very good first step. That not only is it going to get you a lot of bang for your buck for your time, but also makes it approachable. Makes it something you could do it.
Yeah, I think if I just rip the Band-Aid off a few times, it won't be that bad.
Yeah. Okay.
So this problem is it's easy to overcome if I think I'll overcome it. It's not a big deal.
Okay. Is there perhaps anything else that you feel is holding you back in Melee? I
told you this before, but I don't know if it's even true. Because sometimes I feel like I'm the most technical Marth in the world. And other times I feel like I'm the least technical Marth in the world. And so, I don't know with that one. And maybe it's because I'm so particular about doing a handful of techniques. There's been like, I've told you know this, there's been like a couple things.
Blur dashing.
First of all, I'm sick of blur. I'm the best in the world with that. That I know. You know, I spend stupid amounts of time on it when it's not even like it has uses, but like goddamn, you know, like, yeah, handful of techniques I'm godlike at, and there's a handful of techniques I want to add into my game, but it's kind of like the opposite of the 80-20 rule, where so I almost want to pull up the spreadsheet of things. If you want to see how poorly this is actually good, I will actually bring up the spreadsheet of mine. So I have a tab on this spreadsheet to update Google Sheets, where I have a list of things I want my Marth to get better at. Right? It's a long list of, that's like kind of it's hard to approach because it's so long. But basically, like a list of stuff I know I'm not doing right now, but I could be doing. Right? But if I'm being honest, a lot of that stuff is like small techniques that maybe a top 100 player should be focusing on adding into their game when I'm just not like in center stage. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like I'm not edge guarding a fox. Period. They're getting back. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not good. But I mean, I'm saying this is how I've thought, so I can give you. If you want, I can tell you what's on this list.
Before I look at that list,
one of the things on the list is the goddamn bonk dash setups. Why am I caring about that? You know why? I know I don't do it.
It also only works on one stage.
It's only one stage, right? But it'd be fun to do it.
And it's like 20 steps that you need to know.
Yeah, there's a video that makes it easier. I saw.
Okay. What am I gonna bring up?
80-20.
The 80-20 rule. And
yes.
What would be the 80-20 rule for execution? I could tell you the answer. I want to see if you can figure it out first.
Oh, jeez. 80-20 rule for execution.
It starts with B.
Basic tech skill? Like basically just get good at your wave dashes and your wave lands and like get good at your fundamentals? The basics.
Why?
I kind of got it right. Fundamentals. I said fundamentals, basics.
Why do you think Mango is so good? What I played Mango.
A lot of it's like his timing mix-ups and he's fucking.
It's not anything crazy he does.
His fundamental tech skill is really good. Yeah.
His wave dashes alone separates him from every other Falco I've played.
Yeah, he gets a little farther than everyone else.
His wave dash is like a Mart's wave dash, and it's also executed frame perfectly. He acts out everything frame one. I remember Drug Fox doing analysis of the difference between Mango and other Falcos was because he acts out of his dare like 1 frame later. Other Falcos, they act out of their dare 3 frames later.
Damn.
Yeah, that's like what separates Mango's Falco from everyone else. It's not like, whatever crazy mind-bending thing he does. Yeah. It's because he's so good at his basics. He even said it himself. Like, he doesn't think he's like the most flashy Falco. Like,
but he still might be the most technical player in the world.
Yeah, like what maybe like Bobby would be. Like, he doesn't do the crazy wave landing on Randall stuff.
It's actually, in my experience with Melee, and you might, I don't know if you agree, in some ways, it's harder to be good at the basics.
I agree.
Than it is to be quadruple shining. Because
I agree.
Quadruple shining is, that's one example, the bonk dash, whatever. It's like, that's like a night of, you spend one night of grinding this stupid thing. Maybe you get decent at it enough to have some percentage chance of hitting it, right? But when you're good at the fundamentals, it's like, that is years of work. And it's not nearly as fun. And getting good at it's way harder because you can't just, like what are you going to just wave dash around stage? Like, is that how you make your wave dashes better?
Yeah.
I guess, maybe that is how you make them better, but getting them frame perfect and acting fast out of everything, that's really hard.
Yeah. So, for Mark, the basics that immediately strikes my mind is wave dashing. And why is wave dashing so useful?
I miss a wave dash down tilt sometimes.
Because of the freaking wave dash down tilt. Like, wave dash down tilt is, like, so quintessential.
That's my jam.
And then you could do like
sometimes I down air.
Yeah,
and I hate it.
Yeah, and that's.
It doesn't. The thing is, and I think the particularly hard thing about this is that
let's dance.
It doesn't happen often. I don't mess up wave dash down tilt often at all, but it does happen sometimes.
Those sometimes.
And those sometimes I die.
Mm-hmm. Because it's so quintessential. You can't be satisfied with like a 95% success rate. It should be 99. Man. Because you're using it so much.
I mean, some of these are pretty good to add to my game.
Well, bonk dashing would be nice, but is that gonna...
Bonk dashing is the most obscure one on here.
Yeah.
I guess T-dropping is
and also, another thing about your down tilt.
I don't T-drop. Maybe I should add that.
Why is the 19 frames significant?
19, that's ISA.
ISA frames, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you doing that?
I try. I don't know if I actually am.
But
I probably am not.
Isn't that like maybe one of the most important things?
Well, probably really important, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also because it's -6. The down tilt on shield is -6. So if you get
pending, if you get a weak hit, then it's like -8 or -9, but or minus like basically you could shield grab it in 2 frames.
Of course, scaling matters too, but even if you're inside, you can dash away.
You can, but they have a 2-frame window to grab it.
Are you sure?
Yes, I've labbed this out myself. But anyways,
I thought I labbed this, and are you sure? Because Marth dodges with his dashback too.
They could grab it within 2 frames, but it's a read on their end, so it's usually good to do it anyways. Oh. And it's why it's important to practice the Isaiah frames as soon as possible.
Yeah. Anyway, you shouldn't be detailing them close.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Both, and not just that. The 19 frames is if you don't hit with a down tilt. If you do hit them, say their shield, or you just hit them, you know what happens?
When you hit their shield with down tilt?
Yeah.
A lot can happen.
No. I mean like the execution side.
You need to do other stuff.
No.
So you need to ISA, and then you gotta like dash back and.
No, there's like it's like L canceling, when you hit or don't hit them.
It's like L canceling.
There's a little bit of extra delay.
A little bit of extra delay with what?
When you hit them.
Yeah, there's shield stun. Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's like the 19 frames becomes 20 something.
Yeah, so you gotta practice on shields.
Yeah, you gotta practice multiple things with those down.
You gotta practice down tilting people on shield. And you gotta practice down tilting.
20x.
You gotta down tilting nothing. You gotta practice down tilting the air and down tilting shields.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're both fundamental things that you must practice, and how often do you mess both of them up?
Probably more often than I realize.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
You don't know, and that's a problem because like that's like something that's so.
But I also could. It's possible that I'm amazing at this, and I don't know.
Are you?
Yes. What if I just say yes to this smug face?
Just to be funny.
Yeah.
I don't need KoDoRiN's help.
Maybe I'm sick, bro. Like I don't know.
I'm sick. I'm sick of my wave dash dares.
Dude, that doesn't happen that often. It's like not. That's like a 1% chance, maybe.
Yeah, and those 1% they do hurt, especially like when you are in a high pressure situation in tournament. You know, it's game 5 last.
Then you're gonna do it.
It's all
that 1% turns to 50%. Yeah. Why does it work like this?
Because then it really shows like how much have you truly mastered the basics.
Yeah.
Especially when it's so high stakes, so much is on the line. Mm-hmm. It all depends. Like, did you practice your basics enough?
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying the things when I do tech skill practice I should care about is almost entirely basic ass shit.
Yes.
Like what PP would do, basically.
Yes.
Whenever I watch him do tech skill practice, it makes me go like,
really? They're doing this?
First of all, I can list 3,000 techniques that I can do that I don't think he can even do. And
that guy doesn't even shield drop.
He doesn't do anything. But I will say, he dash trans grabs people, and sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm. What's more useful?
I think dash trans grabs is pretty good.
Yeah, and like practicing those pivot grabs, practicing the movements out of wave dash. The goal of practicing the basics is ultimately you would be comfortable moving out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you know, this also ties into like, you know, stuff like edge guards. If you're practicing, if you're comfortable moving out like your basics, that probably means because like, you know, punish game can be movement oriented. If you're comfortable out of moving, then that indirectly also helps your punish game if you're so comfortable with moving with like your basics. So, you know, practicing the basics, your dashes, your wave dashes, your actions out wave dash, your actions out after the down tilt. You know, are you good at moving at frame 19-ish or 20 even?
And you're saying I would like go frame by frame and measure my average down tilt?
No, that's okay.
How would you actually measure this?
Yeah, so that is a separate subject out in of itself. I know we talked a little while ago about how to approach execution, right?
Yeah.
And it is a measure. It is a measure using Uncle Punch 20XX to see like, oh, am I moving exactly at frame 19? Am I spending 7 frames in cliff weight? Am I jumping the first frame out of my double jump? Am I jumping at this correct angle? None of that nonsense.
Random question, non sequitur a bit. How much glint do you get when you ledge dash?
Maybe like 2 or 3.
You get 2 or 3?
If I'm like really in practice.
You get +2.
Yeah, I could get +2. I've done like 4 frame glints but that's not because I practice ledge dash a lot. That's not the main reason.
You get +2?
Yeah, I
don't get +2 at all.
Because like, it's related to fair.
I get like -4.
Yeah, that probably means you're not double jumping as soon as you can, or you're spending the time on the ledge too long.
Yeah.
Because the reason why that's important from Mark is because you make your fair from ledge as invincible as possible. And if you were to master the basics of getting off the ledge, your blur dashing would be better.
Now, blur dashing is frame perfect. Actually, it's not. But I don't get full invincibility on the whole thing. No one does.
Well, yeah.
But I get pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm pretty goddamn blue. I've done that once. I'm pretty goddamn blue.
Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, should I be going on Uncle Punch and like see like if I'm doing this off frame perfectly? Yes, and I'm gonna say mostly no, and maybe sometimes yes. If you want to see where you are, yeah, go for it. Like see if you're doing this right. But I don't actually want you to do that as like your go-to, because the subject of execution, you don't think when you walk, right?
When I walk?
Yeah, just the act of walking. You don't.
In life, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think when I walk.
Yeah, because it's so simple, right?
Yeah.
And you've done it your entire life. Why do you need?
So my thing is similar with this, where it's like, okay, I dash dance a bunch mindlessly, I wave dash a bunch mindlessly. Great. You know?
Yeah. So like,
how do I do it mindfully? What you're saying is like, improve your basics. Okay, what I hear is, okay, I'm gonna boot up melee. I'm gonna do the basics, which is me doing my run around routine of dashing and wave dashing and doing whatever, and then I get bored and I stop doing it.
I could talk about that too, but basically,
how do I mindfully do what you're describing?
So I guess maybe you could do it mindfully by.
Or you want me to mindlessly do it? I don't know. Maybe you just want me to put some time into my basics.
You need to see the image. Because there's sports psychology studies where, say, there's research done on this in multiple fields. You throw a dart. Who does better? The one that thinks about how they throw with their hands, or they just picture a dart just landing on the target? It's the people that land their targets. It's the people that think about landing their target.
They're the ones that visualize the target.
They do better.
They do better.
Because they're not thinking so much about it. They're not overthinking about the inputs. They're thinking about what they want to accomplish.
Okay. They want to get the dart on the board.
Yeah. And there's runners. What runners do better? Is it the ones that focus on their breath? Or is it the ones that visualize perfect form?
Visualize perfect form?
Yes. It's not the input that matters. It's what they want accomplished. And because they're not overthinking about their input. Mm-hmm. Now think about this in Melee. What would you do better? Looking at numbers, looking at your fingers, are you going to do better? Or just imagine the perfect wave dash, what a proper down tilt looks like.
Yeah. So you're saying while I am wave dash down tilting, I should just...
If you know what the perfect wave dash down tilt looks like, you got to imagine that. You want to make it like...
though, first of all, I don't know if I do. Like, as in, I don't know if when I do a wave dash down tilt, I'm like, that looks good. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I say yes and no. If you
am I gonna really be like, all right, I hit the 10 in a row?
Because like you're not,
you know, because like
again, bringing this back to walking, you're not thinking about like the inputs about walking. You're not doubting about like how you walk. What's like the perfect technique? You just are.
Right. But like, okay, I'm just trying to put this what you're saying into an actual implementation.
Mm-hmm.
I boot up my Uncle Punch. I wave dash down tilt 10 times in a row. The whole time I'm thinking about what a wave dash down tilt looks like. And every time I do it, because wave dash down tilt is a very, he slides on the ground,
mm-hmm.
and then goes boop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's it. There's
mm-hmm.
not much more to it. Now, if I get an air dodge frame, I'll notice that, and I'll be like, that bad.
Oh, not that bad.
That bad.
When you mess up, that's bad.
If I don't down tilt frame 1 after the wave dash, that's bad, right? And I would notice that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would notice those things.
Very common problem.
I think it might be hard for me to notice things like, oh, I didn't get the right wave dash length,
mm-hmm.
because that's just like a hard thing to notice, the
yes.
way Melee works. But like maybe those two things I pay attention to. And also I pay attention to like the egregious arrows, which is like I accidentally down aired.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Not bad.
That's
not
real
bad.
bad.
Oh, real bad.
That's real bad.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then so I take in, let's say do I make it a goal of like doing 20 in a row, 100 in a row? What do you do? Or do you just do it until I feel satisfied?
Blur. You ever thought it's okay to mess up?
It is okay to mess up, yeah. I mean, no, maybe it's not okay to mess up. This is a trick question. Because I prefer not to mess up.
Blur. Ideally, we should be robots and never mess up, right?
True.
But we are not.
Okay.
Imperfections, if you notice, like even at the very top.
So you're saying I shouldn't be working on my wave dash down tilts because I get it like 99%.
That's not what.
This guy's talking about the 1% where I down it.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. But
then
even at the top level of Melee, mess ups do occur.
Yeah.
And a way to spiral it out of control is when you focus on that, and then you overthink. You're no longer thinking about the outcome. You're thinking about the input. And then you start messing up, and then you mess up more and more and more.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah, you're describing what happens, yes.
Yeah, that's because all of a sudden you're overthinking. You're not thinking about that image anymore.
So you're saying, don't try to do 100 in a row.
It's a goal, dude. That ideally you should be perfect, but when you do mess up, that's okay.
Roll with it.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So you're
because mistakes are
saying I should turn into a trance-like state where my brain is mush, and all I'm thinking about is what a wave dash down tilt looks like in my mind's eye, and then even when I mess up, I just go for another one like a macro.
You know, a study. There's a reason why those studies indicate that those that focus on the outcome, they have consistently done better than those that are told to focus on the input.
Okay.
And even if they mess up,
so basically, when what you're saying is when I am focusing on, because what happens naturally is, let's say I get an air dodge frame,
mm-hmm.
I kind of make a mental image of I remember how my hands did it. Right? I'm like, oh, that wasn't right. You know, like it's like I consciously think my hands fucked up, and I know I fucked up because I can feel my hands, and I know what a good wave dash down tilt's like, and I know that my hands did that wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I almost troubleshoot it that way. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're saying don't do that because then I'm focusing on my hands when what I really should be focusing on is the image.
It is possible to have a bad technique. If you have a bad technique, then you need to reassess.
It's more like I have an inconsistent technique where it's like, when I do it right, I do have a fine technique. But like, for example, I might get an air dodge frame, you know?
Right.
But that doesn't always happen. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah, the caveat to all of this is like, if your technique is like actually just fundamentally good, then all you need to do is just visualize. But if your technique has some sort of flaw, I know you're doing weird stuff with your controller. I don't know what the fuck to tell you there. I'm gonna be honest there.
True. I do weird stuff with my controller.
But if your technique is consistently fine, all you need to do is visualize. But if it's not good, you need to reassess how you're doing certain techniques and how to make it more consistent. For me, for example, I'm going to give Fox as the example. I could never jump cancel that up smash. And I started researching techniques. How do I do that more consistently? Because it seems like even if I'm visualizing, I can't get it.
Yeah.
So then I found out about the claw method, and I'm getting it like every time.
You're a clawer?
Yeah, because I found that technique was good for me.
Do you claw with Marth too?
Only for no impact lands on Dreamland.
Oh, you don't just Y to X?
Nah, yeah, I use X Y because techniques should be tailored to each person's needs.
Okay, fine. If I learned claw, I wouldn't have switched my Z and my X.
Yeah, so I don't know what to tell you about that because
don't worry about that. I'm too far gone. Don't worry about that.
But basically,
it's funny how Cody did that too, and now his results are worse, like categorically.
Yeah. So
maybe it's not good. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you about that. My expertise is very limited on that. I don't know what's a good technique if you switch your Z and X, but
yeah.
What I can tell you with the normal controller is I can tell you the proper techniques and things that you might be messing up. And as long as after you get that step, like the technique is consistent for you, all you need to do left is visualize. Visualize the outcome. And that's it. And even if you mess up, just still visualize the outcome.
Just continue visualizing.
Mm-hmm. Like,
but this also hurts because when I practice technical, honestly, I usually just have music on or maybe even a podcast on. And I'm barely thinking. I'm just getting through the motions.
Yeah.
Is that a bad idea?
No, that's not bad.
Because it's way more enjoyable that way.
Yeah, that's fine. That's how Zane practiced.
Yeah.
He did tech skill and listened to his albums.
Okay. So you're saying while listening or doing whatever with that, just visualize it, be more relaxed with it. Don't beat yourself up and spend more time practicing basic things than probably what's on my list.
You need to accept that messing up is like a very human thing, and that's okay.
Though I do think my list seems a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you don't. Let me see some of those lists. Shield stop, jump. I mean, that's not bad. Dashback, power shields, crowd. Those are very practical things to.
Yeah.
And then there's T dropping, and then there's PC dropping, and
I'm really bad at PC dropping.
It's because it's kind of controller dependent.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of stuff that you've had is fine.
Yeah.
But what's even more important is like the basics.
There's notes for each treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to cap this all off, when you see a close friend of yours, like they messed up, are you gonna make fun of them? That you suck for messing up this basic thing. Or
the natural extension of this question is, am I a close friend to myself?
But no.
Be kind to yourself,
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Well, yeah. Okay, sure. Be kind to yourself.
But yeah. No, for sure, dude. I'm not. It's not like I'm beating myself up about it. It's more like after I mess up, I make a mental note that I messed up.
I think that's actually fine as long as you don't focus on it.
Yeah. It does make me then mess up the next thing more likely.
Yeah, because you're focusing on it.
Yeah.
It's okay to note that you messed up just as long as you don't focus. You just need to move on.
Okay, so practice the basics, the super basics, the hyper basics.
The basics that carry you.
Be like PP. You can't do anything flashy.
You can do flashy.
But you know what's gonna happen though? I'm not gonna like the Marth that comes out the other side. He'll win games, but he won't have the special blur sauce.
I'm not saying that to stop practicing the
other
sauces.
stuff. The other stuff is what makes me. People like watching me even though I'm bad. Why do you think that is? It's because there's something about it. There's something about this Marth.
Sure. Anyways, even then, the basics will help your sauce. There's a reason why mango sauce is so enjoyable is because its basics took them far.
True.
So you gotta realize the basics you're practicing does directly translate to your sauce. Just try to visualize that as well. This is helping me do all my
so we're saying
things.
Analyze, get coached. Those are the two biggest things. As far as tech skill goes, be forgiving to yourself. Practice the basics. first and foremost. What's the other part of the trifecta? The playing.
There's friendlies, solo practice. And
okay, so what I do with the actual playing right now is just unranked. Is that fine for my level? You think?
Maybe. What I would probably recommend for you is join the Melee online Discord server and
I'm on that.
And then go to like expert or whatever level and you're lazy.
Because like finding someone and it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean obviously, we're playing one of the freaking hardest barrier entry game in the world. Yeah. I think you could take 2 extra steps to find someone.
Maybe.
Find
Unranked is just so it's so nice.
It's nice, but then like more often than not, you're just gonna run into shitters. That's like not. That's like.
But you know what it is? I'm the kind of guy that has a really fun time playing because I love Melee.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Even when I play those people, I have a great time. Maybe I play other characters. We have a good, we're just having a good time. It's very wholesome. I will match up against a Zelda, 3-stock them 5 times in a row, switch around with characters, and in my soul, I hope they're having a good time because I'm having a good time. Because I just like Melee.
Yeah, Unranked is fun.
It's a lot of fun. Like, 10 out of 10 fun. That's why I play the game.
But don't you think it should be moderated?
I should do it in moderation. You're saying there's basically you can do that. It's fun, but you're not gonna get as much. But here's the thing: I almost feel like I'm getting better because I use that time as like tech skill practice. Like, let's say I'm against that Zelda, right? I'm using that match where I'm just running around, trying to go crazy. You know what I mean? Or trying to do something perfect, or like I'm like, okay, I'm trying to dash dance grab every single dash dance camp Zelda perfectly. So she never hits me.
Is that going to be as efficient as solo practice?
Maybe.
The answer is no.
No?
No.
Well, isn't it better than shadow blocking to have an actual Zelda running around throwing toes and trying to dash dance perfectly?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So, like, let's say, okay, in a scenario, this is how the blurred brain works, right? I match up against a Zelda, right? Zelda's an extraordinary limited character that loses to literally shield and dash dance, and that's it. Okay. Marth can have one move in his moveset, and he would beat Zelda. He could literally beat her with just either forward air or grab. Both of those moves can literally beat Zelda the character, in my opinion. Okay. I don't know if you agree with me. And so I try to do that, pretty much. And then I feel like it might help my dash dance game.
Yeah, so
you get what I'm saying? Yeah. I kind of when I match up against someone like that, I don't feel the same emotions I feel like most Melee players do. We're like, oh yeah, wasting my time, I'm out. I feel like, okay, well, let's both try to learn, and I'm gonna do what I can to make this valuable to me, and you're gonna do what you're doing because you're trying to play Zelda, and I'm not trying to be a dick.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
There is value with unranked practice. It helps with improv. It helps with seeing if you could like pull stuff from the abstraction. It's fun socializing, as you kind of implied a little. It's fun just like expressing.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like that's actually like there's value to that. That's good.
Also, honestly, like I pretty much only quit on people for 2 reasons. Number 1, lag. Number 2, if I've seen a little bit too much of that character, usually Falco. Almost every time it's Falco. Yeah. Where it's like, dog, I've literally played a Falco for 4 straight. Like, I just played Falco for an hour, and then I played another Falco for an hour. I'm like, I can play someone else,
Yeah.
And I hate to do it to them because it's a fine bird, but it's like, dog. Like,
yeah. So
those have been the only reasons I've ever really done. It's pretty much quitting out against Falcos and quitting out against. And that's not like I give them a match, but I don't like.
Yeah.
So I don't just stick around.
So to cut you off a little, that's fine to do. It's fine to do for like an hour maybe because it's so fun. It's what keeps your interest in Melee sustained.
Yeah.
But is that okay to do for like 4 hours? Come on.
That's what I do. You're saying it's not good.
I'm saying that there's a very clear limit on when it stops being good.
Okay. So you're saying I should try to find people of similar skill level or better or worse or something where I'm aiming for their skill level and getting that exact result using like actual social networks, like tools, like Discords and whatever.
Yes. In fact, why don't I do this step for you right now? I'm gonna literally go to the Discord group.
I'm on the Melee Online.
Yeah,
I'm already on there.
I'm gonna do it for you if you don't wanna. I'm gonna ask, yo, anybody want to play Blur right now? You're an advanced or expert. I'm gonna guess you're an expert. I'm gonna do you a little.
I don't know what I'm on. I haven't been on the Discord for months. I might not be on any.
All right, so we could transition this to literally playing friendlies, and I'll coach you. This is a little special that I'm doing Blur because he's here right now.
Let me get warmed up. I haven't played for like a little bit. So.
Yeah. So the next segment of this,
I'm gonna play an expert level player. I'm not trying to get fucked up.
Yeah, the next segment of this is I'm gonna coach you. I'm gonna coach you what you're doing wrong.
Okay. So you're gonna be in my ear telling me what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, what you feel like you're messing up, you just go on and just say, what's up, dude?